Now, I realise I'm taking up my time on that. I'm sorry, Sean, I didn't actually realise I was here to debate with you on the British Bill of Rights, which I don't believe in. And also, I don't think it's going to happen, because by chance I was talking to a rather good conservative barrister who's on the committee for it, and Julia says, "Oh, Nick, it's never going to happen. It's a complete nightmare. I mean, it's not going to work. You've got the Human Rights Act. You might as well stick with it." So I don't think it happened. If I could just suggest.
That's the easiest debate. That's the easiest debate I've ever been in. Maybe the audience will have more sceptical.
Well, it's a bit like, be invited to debate, say, are there fairies at the bottom of the garden? No, okay. Right, next. There are areas of disagreement which might be worth talking about, though, which I am very interested in. The first is whether it's a British Bill of Rights or a Human Rights Act, I and anyone interested in freedom of speech in this country are running into two huge problems. The first is the judiciary, who are frankly out of control now with the press, who are investigative newspapers are dying in this country anyway. The internet is just killing them. The business model for newspapers all over the world is just collapsing. Every editor I know is pretty much in despair. The recession's made it worse, obviously. But even if there wasn't a recession, the fact is that everyone in this room 30 years ago, if you were looking for a job, if you were looking for a cleaner, if you were looking for a kitten for your children, if you were looking for pretty much anything, you would look in some kind of newspaper or specialist magazine or something. If Shami wanted to advertise for a work for Liberty, she would probably put an advert in The Guardian and maybe the New Statesman as well. Increasingly now, everything is on the net, so the entire business model of newspapers is collapsing. Already, regional newspapers, the Oxford Mail, will not tackle any story they think is libelous. They won't do it, because the costs are so huge and the judiciary, within a rules-based culture, is so against them. And that's going to happen to the national press. So sorry, I don't take up too much time. What I thought we could usefully debate is do rights in law bring a free society? Is it if there is not the instinct for freedom among the establishment? And as far as I can see, the British and European establishments do not believe in their hearts in freedom of speech and freedom of the press. Also, maybe,
nice try, Nick, at changing the motion, but
I wasn't even told this was the motion until you said it. Also, the other great threat, and that is going to affect everyone. It will soon be affecting, which already is affecting, campaign groups. I don't know if it's affected Liberty, but campaign groups who are now getting writs at enormous costs, and then put up in front of Mr. Justice Eadie in the High Court. One of the first things Barack Obama will do when he comes back from the G20 is sign an act called the Libel Tourism Act, which will which will say that the verdicts of British judges have no validity in merit, that their writ does not run, because American authors who haven't even printed books in Britain are being sued in London under a libel law, which is hugely in favour of the person suing. And even though the book hasn't been printed here or advertised here, there have been orders going out for the book to be pulped. So there's that we could talk about. And the other great threat to freedom of speech in this constitution, the great chilling effect, is religious militancy. This is not only the anniversary of 1949, of Orwell writing 1984 and 1949, it is also the anniversary of the Ayatollah Khomeini's fatwa against Salman Rushdie. And it strikes me that the wrong side's won in that. There is example after example in Britain of works of art, of exhibitions, of plays being driven off stage by religious militants, and no fuss coming from anyone. It's taken as normal now that if religious militants, for whatever hue, it's mainly Muslim, but also Sikh and Hindu, and it will soon be Jewish and Christian as well. If they take offence, it is legitimate for them to drive a playwright, an artist off stage, and the chilling effect of that is enormous too. Now again, that is not a free country. That doesn't feel like a country where people are confident, where people can just say, look, hold on a second, this is Britain. People are free to speak their minds here. If a Sikh playwright wants to put on a play about abusive Sikh men in the Birmingham Repertory Theatre, she cannot be driven off stage by a bunch of old abusive Sikh men who are then supported by a Labour government and by Fiona McTaggart, a Labour MP, who does it. This is sort of, it's all kinds of things in this book, but the one thing I've just banged on and on about is the case of M.F. Hussain. Has anyone heard of him? He's a grand old man of Indian painting. He's absolutely wonderful painter who combines classic Indian motifs from the Hindu gods and goddesses with modernism, with Nolde, but he can only be in India, and he's the founder of modern art in India. No one in this room will have heard of this, but a couple of years ago, Asia House, the big Indian cultural centre, or subcontinental cultural centre in London, had an exhibition of his work. And it was closed down. Militants decided that Hussain's portrayal of naked Hindu goddesses was offensive. Violence was threatened, and it was pulled off without any fuss at all. There was one letter in The Guardian from the great Meghnad Desai. I wrote a column about it in The Observer. That was it. No fuss, no nothing. Why was it taken off? Well, why on earth, you say it's odd, in Hinduism, naked goddesses? Well, you know, come on, 5,000-year tradition of that. The thing was, Hussain comes from a Muslim family. I don't know if he's religious, so I say from a Muslim family. At that time, Muslim politicians in India were offering, just to crowd please, £1 million reward, equivalent to £1 million reward, for anyone who killed Danish cartoonists who had drawn pictures of the Prophet Muhammad. So, because the militants of one side have started threatening cartoonists, the militants on the other side, let's find a Muslim or someone we think is a Muslim who can threaten. So from nowhere, this attack on a work of a great artist, which is opened by the Indian High Commissioner, comes. And nowhere is there a fuss about it. There's nothing about it on the BBC. There's no great debates on the Late Review. There are no great protests from organisations which are meant to stand up for liberty. That is sort of accepted, and everyone knows it. So, beyond the sort of mega global picture of the entire world economy is going down the chute, and Lord knows where all of this is going to end up. There do seem to be specific problems in Britain to do with religion being used as a justification for censorship, and an establishment, a judiciary that doesn't value investigation, that doesn't believe in its bones that you need freedom of speech, that you need freedom of press, for all the vices that brings. Freedom always brings vices as well as virtues. You can't say it's not always pretty. It's noisy, it's raucous, it's robust. It's not something you take home to your aunt. But that strikes me that even if we weren't having a very ominous situation, we would not feel a very free country at the moment. We would not feel that we are a free people who can speak their mind and take the consequences.
Thank you very much.